So WGP Nagoya was last weekend and I participated. It was a tournament held the day after the release of set 3, and so the format was very unpredictable because everyone was kind of like, well, probably we're gonna have Shiranui everywhere, and then we'll probably have a bunch of stuff from the new set everywhere too. And that basically was the case indeed. So I want to talk a little bit about what I used and then quickly go over the results as well. I don't normally do these videos. I usually make like a much more like highly edited and produced meta-analysis or like a top 10 video, which I will still do for this set. But the reason why I want to make it is that this event was a day after the release, and I kind of want to go over my preparation process a little bit in hopes that that also helps those of you that, you know, are having similar experiences, maybe playing a meta that is 1 day old. You know, even in English, I think it still applies. So I brought Archite and essentially went 3-1 in the main event. So our team also went 3-1, and we essentially just lost to bad luck. So the round that we lost, I won, and then both of my teammates got crit at 3. They were at 3, no guard, crit, lose. Like literally both of them. It was pretty unfortunate. But Archite was a very good list. I'm not going to give like a super detailed breakdown here or anything. I'm also going to go over an in-depth run of the tournament for a channel member exclusive video. So become a YouTube channel member if you want to watch that, on top of a bunch of other POV exclusive fight videos as well. But the reason why I chose Archite is that she can now do 5 attacks even on your first grade 3 turn if you go first, and everything hits like a truck. So Archite's effect basically gives everything plus 10k buff, whether called in main phase or battle phase, as long as you can set up pairs of units. This card, the Sava Ward, lets you loop Persona Ride infinitely for Soul Blast 2, kind of. He calls himself for Soul Blast 2, but his other effect lets you take a kaiju from order zone into hand and then discard 1. The discard means that you can discard extra copies of cards that you want to buff, so it has very good synergy. And then you basically have, like, you're only setting 3 orders per game usually, so that's why we can run the ladder. And because of that, I also don't run Emigrar. Instead, I like Baldereed because it can find me my Persona Ride and find all of these cards basically. And I run 7 10k shield, right? So I felt that the deck is pretty well paired into the format because it takes out Shiranui pretty quickly. They want to go second, so they give you first. You go first, you bash them 5 times, and then their first stride is pretty bad. This thing has resist, and oftentimes you can indeed leave up a board of nothing. And you can also use the kaiju order to actually put all the kaijus from your drop into your order zone and leave an empty drop zone. And then that way, this is the only rear left on the board. And then you basically have nothing targeted on the board, nothing in the drop that they can revive and dominate either. It's pretty good. But I didn't actually run into Shiranui too much, but I basically just ran into a bunch of other things. Like I beat Luard with this deck, I beat Rezael, I beat Varga. So you know, some of the most popular decks out there. So I felt that it was very well paired into the format. I think Eva is also very good as well. Angel Ladder, I'd say, isn't the most important card. You can just play a 4th Baldereed instead, which honestly I would like to, or a 4th copy of the 10k grade 2. So just increase your shield in the deck too. But unfortunately we went 3-1, and we thought we would bubble in because we had 2 diversity cut slots in the team. So I already made a video about diversity cut. They'll pop up here somewhere in the corner that you can watch if you want to. Yeah, so we wanted to hit diversity cut, and diversity cut, we put Shiranui into our team, which would not be a diversity cut. And then I was the Archite, which we did not expect to see too much because very few people playtested as much as I did, which, you know, went ham for basically a week. And then we had a Lukier as well, and Lukier was also basically a big diversity cut slot too. So we were like, okay, we lost once, but surely with 2 diversity cut slots we'll make it in. Turns out that wasn't enough because a lot of teams with 0 diversity got in, and then it came down to 6 teams that could make it in with 2 diversity cut slots. And basically it came down to the tiebreakers, and we ended up being 21st and not making top 16 cuts. So unfortunate, but then I went and signed up for the side event and went 3-0, beating Luard in finals and won the side event. So that's pretty good. But so anyway, I'll make more detailed thoughts about Archite in a future video where I break down the deck, I guess as we approach the English release for the deck. And also if you want to hear more about my tournament run, including matchups and my general rundown of the deck, channel membership is the place to be for that. But anyway, let's take a look at the actual results from the event. And I'm gonna show everything on stream, but I will show just the the main points for the video, because we're gonna look at 96 different deck lists it's gonna take a while. So let's go through block A first and just kind of go through like 16th to 12th basically first. So we're gonna be seeing a lot of Shiranui. Everyone kind of like put Shiranui into their team because it is basically the reason why Shiranui is good again is because of Ford and Revoltis. This is a dual nation card that is a 15k attacker that soul charges 1 and lets you either retire an opponent's rearguard or call a card that is grade 2 or lower from your soul. So this means you can call the soul charge card, you can also call out Shenri, but most importantly it's a 15k beater that when paired with Shenri makes 28k columns on turn 2. So even if you go first, this is like the trap where it's like if you let the Shiranui player go first just because you don't want to let them go second, they just bash your face in. And that's a new addition to Shiranui that didn't exist before. Oh, Lascaria, okay. Lascaria is still doing good. Actually running the Blitz Order Searcher. So this was not in the list before that. That's pretty nice. So this is a like Soulbots 1 to get 10k if you have a Blitz Order in your drop, and then end of battle attack, combos 1 and bind it, search deck for a grade 2 or greater Blitz Order. So that means it searches out both Lascaria's one as well as this as well. So not too bad. Also running the order recycling order card as well. This lets you to take 2 order cards from your drop and add them back to your hand if in case this guy is not enough. Then Chaos saw a lot of use, and oh, this is one of the ones that doesn't use the character triggers. This is one that's actually like applicable to English, so I like it. We got 2 Bifrons, we got one of the new grade 1. We're running freaking Derek out here, so I guess it lets you retire your opponent's unit because it for every 4 cards in soul, retire an opponent's rearguard. Doesn't care about being in final burst or final rush or anything. And of course the new promo that I think just came out in English if I'm not mistaken. So Chaos Bros, if you want to kill your opponent on turn 3, this is the deck. Let's see Luard, what are the changes? Okay, this is just the stall build. This is just stall Luard with the festival booster duo. They also, people call this the hostage build. So this is grade 2. Soulbots 1, when you call it, searches this set order and sets it. This set order says when your unit is attacked, you can choose a rearguard not being attacked and send it to Guardian Circle, and then it gets bound after that. Usually people play Leo Lamorta in these kind of lists too though, so I'm surprised this player did not. Then we got a Welstra. Welstra should be pretty good into these random new set metas just because I think people, much like how the reason why I played the reason why I played Archite is that I expected a lot of random matchups and a lot of random decks, and I definitely thought that I would run into a lot of random decks that I would need to beat, and I think Welstra is kind of positioned well into that kind of format too. Then we have this is Blagmire, like a pretty typical list for Blagmire. This is Essay's list for Blagmire basically. You run of course Valkrasia to have enough soul all the time. The new shop tournament promo basically is mini Valkrasia. It sends stuff from drop to soul and it seals intercept, so very important in this format because a lot of a lot of decks leave up front row right now. Clean sweep to deal with Luard basically, that calls out PGs to guard with that order we just showed. And then this order is still very good in this deck because it calls out grade 3 or lower from soul and gives it 5k, which means that you can call out this guy who binds himself after he attacks. Yeah, 3 different maids because it's like festival booster, shop tournament non-foil, shop tournament foil, I assume is what this is. We got more Shiranui, more of the same Shiranui though, just running the grade 1 13k attacker that also works with discarding. And there we go, we have a this looks like Miltai's list for Archite. It's not that I think this list is bad, it's just that I think this list I don't agree with it in terms of my own playstyle. Yeah, this grade 1 is good for aggro, so when this is ditched from deck or hand, you can bust 1 as long as you have 2 or more research orders to call it. And end of battle, like when he boosts, you can give him plus 5k, or when he attacks, give him plus 5k, but then end of battle, he retires himself. So it's pretty good for setting it up into order zone. I don't agree with this grade 2. It's like, if this turn he's sent to the order zone, it gives your Archite Vanguard plus 5k. Like, your Archite is the lowest attacker, she's 13k without Persona, but this thing doesn't do anything else. And I feel like it takes away, like, I'd rather run Balderreed here personally, or more than anything, the 10k shield guy. He's just really good sometimes for making sure that you can keep your order zone topped up. Bobo Mine, I think if you're running this thing, then Bobo Mine is a must. But if you're not running this thing, then you don't need Bobo Mine in my opinion. At least that's how I see it. You can also, like, I think it's just this guy really needs Bobo Mine. It's kind of like if you're gonna run one, you're gonna run the other. Jet saw a good showing this weekend. Jet definitely saw a good showing because he's got Forden Revoltis as a support and also Soul Charges, which makes your, you know, your GGs even better. You've got the new grade 1 as well that also Soul Charges. He's like, you know, you don't even need Swirler anymore at this point. And this works super well because Jet discards a lot. You discard for Stride, you discard for Jet skill, or for next stage skill, basically. So it's very nice. It doesn't run the promo, surprisingly. I think the list that actually came first or second, they ran the promo. So we'll see that a bit later. Dayusha! I was waiting to see some Dayushas out here. So it looks like Valdereed is a pretty common play. So Dayusha, of course, I already made a video talking about it and first impressions and stuff and covered it, but he, you know, is a restanding Vanguard. I'm surprised by the 3 main deck Die Dragons. I'm fine with 4 Die Mariner. I'm surprised by not maxing out on Die Battle because you want to always be calling this from your soul. And then I feel like you can run just 1 extra Die Lander. You don't really need the more than 1, really. I don't see a reason to max out on it because this only gives the buff when called from soul. So it doesn't really do too much. But yeah, we do have 2 of the promo countercharger, the Bobo Mine but better, basically. So pretty interesting. And the regular piece of choice also I've been checking is the cup. So not running the dual nation cards, which is pretty interesting. I feel like that both brands dual nations are pretty good in Dayusha. Zorga. Ooh, this looks like this looks more like Western Zorga. What does this thing do? When you discard a order card from your hand by an ability, you can treat this as an order card. Back a rearguard circle. If you have Alchemagic this turn, he gets plus 10k. But yeah, this one runs like Philander and stuff. It's actually very different from the usual stuff. Quite a different Zorga list. We got a Varga. Lechuga Varga, let's go. We got a Lechuga Varga. Do I have a Zorga deck? I do own Zorga, yes. How's Shoujo Doji? We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. So Varga, there's definitely a lot of different ways to build Varga. I do agree that the Regulus of choice is the sword. We got 4 Shenris, 4 Guncyclers, 2 of the anti-order guy, 4 Lechuga, the cabbage. There's actually very few grade 1s, so you usually just put this behind Vanguard, so I would run 4 of this, and then still run 4 of this. I don't know how necessary this thing is. And only 2 copies of the Obduracy Glaive, which is interesting. Will it be 5 video? For channel members? Yes. Emma Tasso. So Emma is one of the Vispo decks, so you can build her either with Dragon Empire cards or Vispo cards, but I do think that Vispo Pure is better because you have 3 flavors of Sword Me. All 3 of these grade 2s are Sword Me, and they each call their matching grade 1. So you can see the grade 2s in the art of the grade 1s a little bit, except for her, I guess. But basically, Emma's effect is that she binds your opponent's rear guards or their cards from drop. And then if you have Persona ridden or have 10 or more cards of your opponent in the bind zone, she gets a crit when she restands. And she restands end of battle if you can almost want to discard 1. And she also lets you Soul Blast 2 to draw 1 and bind an opponent's rear guard. And if they didn't, then they bind 2 cards from drop. So initially I thought that maybe like her 10 cards in bind would be pretty hard because her rear guard support binds 1 or 2 basically. So I thought maybe the pace would be a bit slow, but turns out it's actually quite good. Her like the order for Vispo is also insane. Like no matter what deck this would be in, this card says look at top 5 out of Vispo added to hand. Like this PG is Vispo. The Persona Rides are Vispo. All the Sword Me's are Vispo. This thing is also 10k shield, so it's a searchable 10k shield. And it's free. It costs nothing. You can add triggers, you can add freaking your effect fronts. The reason why this deck was talked about in a negative way in the past is that people were like, well, it's Varga, but without the power. Well, you know what it has that Varga doesn't? Endless deck thinning. What if Varga could search things from deck? What if Varga could raise its trigger rate? That would be quite the problem, I think. That would be quite the problem. So I'm actually very excited to try this deck out. I have even bought the sleeves. She's by far, I don't watch her, maybe I should, but her art is by far my favorite. Really like Emma. She's pretty. Next. Oh! Edgy Assassins. Hello? Hello? Oh, there's a dog. There's a dog. Oh my god. Why do I Why do I hear barking? Oh my god! Could it be Selgon? He's barking! Oh my god, undercover! Damn, this deck plays Selgon? For real, for real? Anjing! That's crazy. Actually runs a yellow OT, that makes sense. Because this deck doesn't have any board disruption. This deck doesn't have any board disruption, it just has multi-attack and like deck thinning. Selgon says play any order. Oh my god, you're so right. Set orders count for Selgon, that's crazy. I'll actually sleeve this up, I guess. I really like this new grade 2. I feel like she's gonna go up once people realize that you can use this in Luard. I feel like people haven't really come to a realization. I also love her art, dude. How does Hagiya Sensei always design the coolest freaking characters? I don't know where to begin. Oh, Misty Arc, this is what I wanted to see. Let's go, Misty Arc. Finally. Finally, this fresh freaking bunny top. Congrats. He's fresh as hell. So if you don't know what Misty Arc does, oh, even the manga Luffy, dude, that's crazy. So when you ride Lulu Suzulu, you look at top 7, call a grade 3 or less. And then if you have 5 or more units, your opponent is forced to discard 1. And when this attacks, you CB 1 and then choose a Misty Arc Rearguard, bounce it to hand, and then you call a different named Misty Arc from hand to rear. So that's 4 attacks. Then the promo says, when your Misty Arc Vanguard that is grade 3 or greater attacks at the end of that battle, Soul Boss 1 stand this unit and gets plus 10k. And end of turn, if you have 3 or more Misty Arc units, you retire her to choose a different name Misty Arc from your drop and add it to your hand. So that means you can also add Persona Ride, which is good. Then they got a new grade 3. This is also max rarity Misty Arc, by the way. That's crazy. This person loves Misty Arc. This card counts as 2 on the field when you would count Misty Arc, so it's very easy to actually get the grade 3's effect off, and it's also 23k attacker. This one is when placed on rear if you have 3 or more Misty Arcs, it gets plus 5k and you can CB1 to draw 1. Then this one I'm surprised isn't run more. It's the Battle Door basically. So it lets you CB1 draw 1 and it gets Battle Door. You still run the Cycler, even though it's not a Misty Arc. This Giraffe Turtle, it's a Giraffe Turtle. That's crazy. When you call it, if you have 3 or more Misty Arcs, gets plus 5k. Good dude. That new grade 3 actually enables everything. And you Soul Blast 1, choose an opponent's rear guard, and it does not stand during the next stand phase. And then as an act, you can put this and another Misty Arc rear guard to bind zone to hold the cards bound for this cost. So this girdle reuses your on-place effect. You can reuse your on-place effects, whether it's the CB ones or whatever you want. So it also, you know, this thing is like gives 5k to all of your Misty Arc units in the front row, and also calls itself out of drop. He's cute. I like this guy. You know, Habitat is no longer the only Misty Arc that is being played. I like it. This deck is finally alive. Rezael still kicking. It's the order-based build with Fifth Fault. Kind of, I guess, what you're used to seeing by now. Jeweled, still kicking. I got the animator Jewel too. Another Dayusha, this time, there we go. Ooh, Guncyclers. I like Guncyclers. You do have a lot of leftover energy in this deck. I did notice. There's a lot of leftover energy in this deck. Oh, I actually agree with this list a lot. Wow. This might be my favorite Dayusha list I've seen so far. Because the Dual Nation Dark States card lets you get back Persona Ride from Soul all the time. And also let you get back set orders from your Soul. So for Dayusha's restand skill, you need to put a card from hand to Soul. And sometimes you want to put your spare base before you set the 4th one to hand, from hand to Soul. And then you can use this Dual Nation one to get it back if you want to. But what the other on-place effect is that you can basically look at the top cards of your deck equal to the amount of set orders you have plus 1, and then put 1 card from among them to your Soul, and then CB1 to do the rest of the effect. So it also deck thins, right? You're deck thinning with the bases, but then you're also deck thinning with her, and that's pretty good. I do think 3 counter chargers is optimal. So Darkstade's Brangay Dual Nation is cracked if you don't open a second base or Die Mariner by turn 2. That's true, but you hard mulligan either for the second base or for Die Lady, so usually you do. I like this one. Actually, I very, very much like this. Shiranui, but this time with Esper ideas. I do think you should start playing Esper idea again in the Japanese format. I feel like people are forgetting that this card is still very good in Shiranui. Prison. I feel like Prison's been getting a lot of tops lately. Messiah, this is where this card shines. So I was saying how this card should be cool in Eva, but you don't really have space, and Eva's card's already too good. The Branke Keter Dual Nation is so good in Messiahs because this basically lets you return normal units or orders from your drop back to bot deck, and then CB1 to look at top 5 and either choose a non-regular piece order card added to your hand or choose a unit that is equal to or lower grade than your Vanguard and call it. So this allows you to find yourself your pieces, which is really huge. Or also find, this only searches for set, or no, it's any order card, yeah, or any orders. You can find ladder, you can find, it doesn't count in regular speed, so you can't find this. You can find the Blitz and you can find the Messiah order. But most importantly, you can find parts. You can find your your sacrifice, you can find your arrestor. So it's quite good. But yeah, what we often see in these Messiah lists these days is that they're actually cutting Alter Ego entirely and not playing Destiny Dealer and just constantly striding Amnesty only. Shoujo Doji, finally I can talk about Shoujo Doji. I'm impressed with this deck. I'm very, very impressed with this deck. This is, I think, the same, almost the same. Ryo-san did not run the Guncycler. Regulus piece? Oh yeah, Regulus piece. He ran the Blitz order Regulus piece. So Shoujo Doji can easily kill on like turn 3 going first or turn 4 going first. It's like you can do like what, 7 attacks? They're pretty small. So you want to push your opponent and aggro them very quickly. And even if you go second, you can just go aggro. This provides you counter charge and tanky shield. This card is the Magic Man. This procs everything in this deck. It's crazy. A lot of the cards in Shoujo Doji ask to see 2 cards go to soul at the same time. So like, what is it? This guy is like, if you've seen 2 rear guards go to soul this turn, he gets plus 10k, right? If this guy goes to soul during battle phase, counterblast 1, put 2 cards from bind zone of your opponent, send it to drop, and give all your front row stealth plus 5k for this turn. Shoujo Doji himself is a great card. This thing only does 4 attacks normally, but sets up your bind zone, has technically a defensive skill you can use too, and he calls out the boys. This thing is your constant multi-attack enabler. He is your big extension card as well. And of course, you can use Izasawa in this deck, which was, of course, prolific in Shiranui. So you got crazy multi-attacks. The power scaling is not too crazy. And yes, you do have hand rip. So you actually touch your opponent's hand in this deck, even going first. You can make them give up a card and then you can send it to bot deck or to drop zone. It's great. So I'm a huge fan of this deck. I've been telling y'all for a while though that I'm a fan of this deck, and I was looking forward to it coming out, and now I finally get to play it because my Archive training arc is finally over. So very excited about Shoujo Doji. He's no longer a bozo. He's one of my bros now. He's Brozo Doji now. He's Brozo Doji now. I'm very excited about this deck. It's great. Better wash those hands, that's right. Eva still saw a lot of success. I think some people might have been concerned not seeing her until now. I don't agree with 3 secondos, and I don't think you have the soul for wavy either. I really think we should still be maxing on grade 2 obscudates, because especially in a more random meta, you don't know what you're going to run into. So I think if you're preparing for this event in particular, it's much better. We play henceforth at 3 or 4. I think both are fine. Depends. I think Blue Lab is a 3 of though. Blue Lab is a 3 of, and I think you should run a total of 8 researches when you think about the late game. That being said, this person runs 3 secondos, so you can send back your orders with this as well. So that does provide you a bit of that extra flexibility if you want to do that. So this Leonard list has been really doing well lately. You basically, the Broccoli is an insane card, 15k attacker, 10k shield, even on turn 2 going first, that draws you a card on place. It's pretty good. Cycle card draws you cards, this draws you cards. You got your freaking Rosarium that makes huge numbers. I do think you can replace Dianza with the new grade 1, because I guess it doesn't really run many orders. Just runs the CC one. Maybe Dianza's still better in that case if you want to revive this or the Broccoli. Because Broccoli's crazy though, dude. Oh, right, yeah, Herminia. Herminia did pretty well at this event too. I saw the player themselves actually posted up about this deck, so The deck should be pretty cheap too because even the promo got reprinted. Oh, but I guess this card is not cheap because it's used in what's her name again? Charmant. Oh, look here, finally! Wow, that took a little while to get to. But this is the more like top up on everything, make sure you hit your combo parts like consistently list. So basically Venus Lukier is the addition to the deck that gives your front row plus 5k, and also Energy Blast 3 and puts 1 card from hand to soul to call 4 cards from soul at the same time. And when she attacks, you put 2 cards to soul, draw 1, get 5k, and if your opponent's crit 3 or greater, gets a crit 2. So people are putting in Bubetsu, because Bubetsu says when your other rearguard is put to your soul by your Vanguard's ability, you CB1 and you call a card to an empty rearguard circle from hand. And if you have 10 or more soul, which you do get to in this deck, you also get to draw cards, so you're not actually losing out on cards from hand. So usually you want to keep your extra Rising Dragons and call them out, and that also lets you use the on place to cycle a card into your soul if you need to. And speaking of cycling, the new grade 3 allows you to basically choose, a card from drop and put it to soul as long as your Vanguard is a Pale Moon, and it's also 23k attacker. So overall, this deck got some really good cards, and you can use this girl whenever she's put to soul. You can bind her to search deck for grade 3, whether that's the original Lukier to enable Venus's power buff, or the Order, or the new Dragon to call out later down the line. You can search them all. It's pretty good. How easy is it to get to 10 soul for bits with not minus though? It takes a while. It does take a bit. It does take a bit. Tamayura, this is the one. This is the one. So, Tamayura, even though the deck build does not have much flexibility, your plays do. Because there is a new promo that just came out in English. On place, Energy Blast 3, search your deck's top 7 for a grade 2 or lower glitter unit, pull it to rear and shuffle your deck. So it searches out any of your dolls. And if you have a Tamayura Vanguard, you put it to soul, search your deck for the other grade 3 Tamayura, ride her. And if this ride phase your Vanguard was ridden, or if this turn you're ready Persona Ride, you cannot activate Persona Ride. So basically the same as Eva's one, except it doesn't revive itself. But it's very cool because it provides you with soul, which you use a lot in Tamayura. And it also, of course, uses the energy to plus, right? So it's a great card. It really is a good card. So I do feel like it just comes down to your order lineup then. So you've got yourself the call 2 order that you play in main phase, and the top 7 search order as well for the broken toys, of course. So overall, this deck is just deck thin central, and then just do your 5 attacks. So not the most insane deck, but it performed pretty well. And I haven't really looked at the list on the player's own Twitter, but I'm sure you can find it there and take a look. And then Benny. So Benny, this one's the Dark States Benny. So it's even better because this deck, of course, for every 5 soul that you have at the start of battle phase, your opponent's Vanguard loses 5k power. And if you have 10 or more soul, you put an opponent's rearguard to the soul. So the minus 5k stacks. So if you have 15 soul, it's minus 15. If you have 20 soul, it's minus 20. So that basically is like a crest, right? Much like how a crest gives 5k power for every G zone, for every 5 cards in your soul, this basically gives the crest power in this deck, right? You see where I'm going with this? So on attack, she also lets you do things based on how much soul you have. So if you have 4 or more soul, she calls a card from soul. If you have 9 or more, she gets a drive. And if you have 13 or more, she gets a crit. And so in the Dark States version, you got Pandemonium, soul charge 4 at once. You've got Gungunrum, soul charge 1 on place. Her specific grade 2 gets called out by her ride line. And this on call calls out the bear, which then they both go to soul and draw a card after it boosts. And on place, it puts a card from drop to soul. And this is also, this is like a 28k column that keeps on punching you. So Barrow Magnus Chan indeed. You're even running the Barrow Countercharger. Look at that. If you have 10 or more soul, countercharge 1, because this deck does CB a lot. You do CB1 for this, and you Energy Blast 3 for this, but if you don't have energy, then you got a CB1 as well. You actually use the freaking Barrow guy. What is this? So, on place, rear, if you have 7 or more soul, count 1, put a card, discard a card from hand, choose a card from soul, add it to hand so you can loop Persona Ride and soul charge 1. 13 or more soul, then your front row units all get plus 5k. It's better Magnus. And then you also use the new generic. So this is on place from hand to rear, energy charge 1. End of battle is attacked. If this turn you've energy blasted 3 or more, you retire her to draw 1, and you energy blast 3 for the cost of this. So yeah, Barrow is back. Better Magnus is here. This deck is good both in Dark States and in Vispo, so whichever version you choose to build, it will be strong. Hey, look at that. Speaking of Better Magnus, we got another Chaos list. We already talked about this. This card is funny. This is Lamina, but she also has her own name, so it counts as two different names as one card, which is interesting. All right, so that was Block A. Let's take a look at Block B. Anyway, we got a Varga here. Anything fresh? Basically just the order hater. One single Lechuga in this Varga list. Interesting. Oh, they're also running the Vajira grade 1 and the starter. All right, let's see. Ooh, 4 clean sweeps. Damn, this is real hating. This is real hating in this Blackmire. Okay. Oh, Kyrie. I always face Kyrie in these tournaments. I beat a Kyrie in round 1 as well. This new card is actually like crazy Kyrie support. This thing is like, when placed on a rear, if you don't have a rear with the same name as her, you can do one of the following. You have 4 more rears, count outs 1, draw 1, or you can energy blast 3 and give her 10k for the turn. So this basically like works pretty well with Kyrie because you recycle her as an attacker, and then the Kyrie grade 4 of course buffs her as well. So honestly pretty good. And I mean, this girl, Yasmin, lets you ride Kyrie grade 4 from deck. Also using the dragon's very good as well. So heroes do have a countercharger and a new grade 1. Another Varga, this one running the new promo as a 2 of. Still not sure if that card is actually that good in Varga or not. I do like the bait with the Shirune grade 0 though. A lot of Varga players are choosing to play this though. It's like, if they don't have any rears, it gets plus 10k. And on place, energy blast 3. Retire your opponent's rear guards equal to how many set orders they have. Technically, this could be insane. Energy blast 3 to retire even 1 is good. This can pop your entire opponent's back row for 3 energy when you think about it. Is this a Luard with the undercover grade 1? Yes. Okay, Chow was telling me about this. So end of Aldous boosted energy blast 2 to bounce it back to hand. And when you guard with it, you send a undercover from drop to bot deck to get 5k shield. So the only undercover played in this deck is this one. It doesn't actually run the grade 2 triple rare, which I feel like is very good. I personally would play it. This is one of those like hyper stall versions with 7 draws. It's Mermaid Idol Ellie. It is, yeah. And you don't want to use energy for much in Luard anyway, because you're not running, you're also not running the Gun Cycler. Oh, finally. I was waiting for this freaking Bug Lord to show up. Yeah, what I've heard is that every list for this deck looks different. The grade 3 itself is basically, if you've played a Sutra order this turn, then your front row gets plus 5k. And when you play the normal order, as long as your opponent's on grade 3 or greater, you can play another Sutra order as long as it's a different name from the one you played before. So you can play the 2 different ones in the same turn. And when he attacks you CB1 and you stand rear guards equal to how many of orders you played this turn. Sutra orders. So the 2 orders, one of them is the buffing one. So this one basically says you choose a grade 3 or lower from drop, call it, and then give it 5k. If your opponent's on grade 3 or greater, then once per turn, you give the unit a skill that when it stands by your card's ability, it gets an extra crit. But yeah, it looks like the orders are pretty low count, because I guess you do recycle them. The other one is the annoying one. So this one says until your opponent's end of turn, their Vanguard loses 3k power, so also during your turn. And if you've played another order before this, you Soul Blast 2, draw 1, and give your opponent's Vanguard -1 drive, and even during their next turn. Even if their Vanguard changes, this stays. If they Stride, this stays. If they Persona Ride, it stays. The only exception for some reason is Sequana, because she forces the drive to be 1. Even if it goes -1, it's still 1. Interestingly enough. Yeah, the supporting cards are interesting here. We do run the grade 1 generic to revive grade 1s and get orders back. This grade 1 is like End of Battle boost that goes to Solix to top 7 for a Sutra order. The Dual Nation card lets you CB1 to get a normal order back from drop, so also calls a grade 2 or greater. We got this guy. This was a DBT-13 double rare. He gets 5k if this turn you played a normal order. He gets 5k if your rear guard has been placed from drop this turn. And he gets 5k if it's his fourth when he attacks, and if it's the fourth or more battle this turn. So he's like a free 25k attacker. Oh, we got a Bozo high rarity. I like how all the Shoujo Dojis we've seen are all high rarity. It's great, especially this one with the 4 secrets. Unica manages to top every single freaking event somehow. There's always at least one. More Bugman. Oh, this one, oh yeah, right. The other list didn't run the top 7 search. Does this run higher counts of the orders? No, it still runs. Okay, it runs 3 and 3. And it runs. I like this one. I tried this in Dayusha. It's not a good idea in Dayusha, but there are some decks where this Blitz order is really good. Because it's basically a G card. It's cool. Whoa! Price Trident! Wait, it does work! Price Trident works in this deck. I feel weird about that. I like this card. That's good. This does feel like the 4-up in this deck. Dude, this card is real in this. This actually is very real. Price Trident is very real. I like it. 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 Good. I think there's one more Beth Juff that runs the promo. I bought the promo because it topped. Oh, more Misty Arc. Let's go. I'm actually running 4 of this. Running more of the ride line one. What does this do? Back row, rear guard. If you have another Misty Arc rear guard that's placed by an ability, if your opponent, if your Vanguard's grade 3 or greater, the rear guard in front of this gets 5k. Oh, for the multi-attack. Ooh, top 4 Dayusha. Okay, what we got in here? We got this one. During your turn, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, and if you have 3 or more set orders, this unit gets plus 10k. Huh. Everyone complained about the plus 10k cards, but this guy is winning with a plus 10k card. I like the other guy's list quite a lot. This guy is dedicated though. Four secret Dayushas. For Daikaiser, I'll do it. For Dayusha, not so much. Whoa, this Varga cooked. Varga with 4 Ford Rivaltis, full on Vajra ride line, 4 Shengdis, only 2. Is this Natsuki or something? 4 of the freaking aggro grade 1 that you used to see on Deer Days ladder, and 2 of the Order Searcher, which is searching for the freaking new order. This is Natsuki, right? This must be Natsuki. There we go. This is the jet list I've been talking about. This is the jet list I was talking about. So this one runs the goat, the gear goat. The gear goat is on attack, soul boss 1, get 5k, and end of battle attacks if your Vanguard is a gear dragon, energy blast 3, bot deck it, draw 1, and then choose either one of your rear guards or one of your cards in bind zone and bot deck it. So this is basically like you can upstream into, oh, you can't upstream into Bifrons? No, it's only when placed from hand. Never mind. You can upstream into your countercharger, of course into GG as always, and you can upstream into this grade 1 that can remove itself from game from drop or rear to get a card that you discarded back to hand. So you can boost with it and then freaking discard for next stage and then bind to, remove it from game to get the card you discarded back to hand. It works pretty well. And then Ford Rivaltis, baby. Ford Rivaltis. Eva. Yep, I like this list. Looks good to me. Shiranui again. And the Benny. So this was the one that was shown on stream too. So this is the pure Benny. So of course, you have your 3 flavors of Sword Me again. And you get to use them. It's the same as the Emma one we looked at, but except it's not Emma, it's Benny instead. So the deck fin comes through on the 3rd drive check instead of the 2nd Vanguard swing. So yeah, cool. Those were all the lists that topped in Nagoya this weekend. We were very close to topping as well, but I'll run it back. Next Vanguard event for me I'll join some TSs because I really want to play this format a lot, and the format's not going to change much after Lyrical, I think. As much as it's changed after this set. There might be a ban list though, so we'll see. But I think the next WGP for me, sadly this month there's none, because the only one that I could have gone to is Clashing with Work. And then next month, I don't think there's any I'm planning to go to. I'll see the schedule again, but I don't think there's any I'm planning to go to. I'll probably next month I'll be going Ham and Evolve a bit, just because of the Vanguard collab set. So that will be going to Vanguard events. But yeah, those have been the results. I hope you enjoyed this more casual look at this brand new meta. Just kind of highlighting some lists and my thoughts on them. I think there are a lot of people that really made use of the fact that it's a brand new format with a lot of really strong new candidates and used that effectively. And so did we with Arcade as well. So you can hear more about my Arcade list in the channel members section. So you can watch that exclusive video once it goes up. And otherwise, I will still be, of course, providing you guys with in-depth content, not just this kind of like laid back casual talk stuff, but more, you know, highly edited stuff that I hope you are slowly beginning to expect of me every so often. But with that, that's me for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Like it if you did. Subscribe if you haven't already. Channel members, always appreciated. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.